Hi, welcome to my Clarity After Scientology. Today I'm going to continue with my series called Tidbits about Scientology. And we're actually going to discuss being gay and being a Scientologist. Now, I've watched a few videos recently where this particular subject was brought up, where the church's viewpoint, while you're a Scientologist, about being gay and being a Scientologist is much different from their outward PR reach about a person's human rights. One of the things that I've seen in Scientology is that when somebody is gay, that they're still accepted and brought in, but they're kind of like this cloud follows them around that they're gay. And, I thought about that a lot recently, especially after watching these videos. And, I think I might have some insight as to why that is. So, here we go. Okay, so this is going to start back in 1952 when L. Ron Hubbard wrote Science of Survival. And what Science of Survival is a case study of his auditing of people of Dianetics. And what he noticed was that people had a harmonic to them. And this is something that was a chronic thing, something that he noticed about people and how their cases ran depended on this particular harmonic, which he referred to as a tone scale. A tone is basically an emotion, which you can measure as a harmonic. Someone is very happy, 4.0, or dead, 0.0. Now, obviously, this tone scale has expanded since then, and I believe it's 40.0 to negative 40.0 with a 0 point of being dead. So this is basically the beginning of that. But again, he did this as a case study, and he took a person or people's reactions to different particular situations in life, very specific situations, you shouldn't say in particular. He took how they dealt with children, how they dealt with their family, how they relayed communication, how they accepted communication, and where we're going to end off is with sex. Okay, so simple example of this, a tone. We've all met that one person that is always happy, no matter what happens. Obviously, they can get angry. That doesn't mean that they're in glee all their life. But their main reaction is a very positive reaction to what's going on around them. Yes, they can be brought down, but again, a chronic viewpoint. Then you have the person who's always upset or always angry, aggressive. Again, they can be happy, but if you look at their lives, for the most part, they're very aggressive about things. So what he did is he compartmentalized these different points to a person's existence, and I don't want to say wrote little tidbits, but wrote descriptions about how they're going to react. Now, why did he do this? He did this because what he noticed was that when you audited people, if you came at them the wrong way or the wrong level, they didn't get any case gain. For example, somebody who's very upset about something, and I mean aggressively upset, angry about something, you don't want to talk to them like all cheery because you're just going to piss that person off even more. And vice versa, when somebody's really happy about something, when you go at them at a very aggressive level, you're going to bring them down. So think about it. So if you're going to be counseling somebody, you want to stay just above that level. And actually, he always talked about, you want to be about a point to half a point above where that person is. So Scientologist, tone scale is something that's very important. But this book was always very important as well, because it was used by auditors. Okay, where does homosexuality fit into this? We got to think that this is 1952. And the viewpoint of that time period about homosexuality and being gay was that there was something wrong with you. In fact, actually, a psychiatrist had actually made homosexuality a disease. And this was something that they had put into their book on diagnostics. So homosexuality didn't have a wasn't very good PR back then for people. And what L. Ron Hubbard did is actually put homosexuality in the tone band or tone level of 1.1. And referred to homosexuality as being perverted, and the sexual practices that they had continued to, that sex for them was considered to be perverted. Okay, what is a 1.1? A 1.1 is that person that you meet that is really nice to you to your face and talks smack about you behind your back. The person who extends his friendship while at the same time finds a way to stab you in the back. It's referred to as covert hostility. We've all met this person. We've all seen this person. And in a very high-toned group, this person doesn't do very well. In a very low-toned group, this person thrives. Okay, we're not going to get necessarily about, 1.1s. But as far as the subject goes, maybe we got to look at the point that that's why L. Ron Hubbard put a segment of people, a group of people in that particular area of the tone scale. Right or wrong, that's what happened. But I think that's also why that happened, was because of the viewpoint of the time. Okay, so the chart of human evaluation was developed from Science of Survival, and it was a tool used by auditors to look over, so they, to evaluate the person that they're dealing with. So when they did audit them, they knew where to come in and deal with the person. Later on, though, that chart was used also for recruiters. It was used for registrars. It was used for people that were dealing with new public coming into Scientology. Because what you want to do is, the better understanding you have about how people react to situations and finding that person's chronic tone, the more control you're actually going to have over that person. And this realistically is a tool that can be used anywhere in life. And in fact, probably one of the strongest tools that I got out of Scientology, and I still do use in life today. So I know where somebody's coming from. So I know who to trust. And I like to think that I actually have a lot of people around me that I can trust because of that tone scale. Okay, so now I think we have a little bit more understanding of when you're sitting down with somebody and you get them in Scientology and they say, well, I'm gay. And they kind of get that, the arrows pointed at them, or that cloud that gets put over them because, now it's kind of thought that that person, okay, he's gay, so he's got to be 1.1. He's got to be at that level of the tone scale, which I think we know is not right. But because L. Ron Hubbard wrote it, and there's that lack of advancement through Scientology to change with the ages, you're going to have that cloud, somebody who's gay is going to have that cloud around them. So getting into more recent time, I was on staff between 1993 to about 2006. And I actually had a staff member that was gay. He wasn't practicing as a I don't want to say practicing as a homosexual, that's not right. But he didn't have any lovers. And in fact, he didn't have any straight or gay lovers at the time. And, I got to tell you, he was one of the more dedicated staff members that I had ever been around. He studied hard. He did what he had, he made his requirements for the week. He worked hard to get his stats up. And he was he was one of my best friends in church, and we had actually lived together for a little while. So, that's where kind of this doesn't sound right. One of those things, again, that I like to say, I parked behind my left lobe. So when I heard, about, you can't trust gay people because they're 1.1, and this didn't make any sense to me. Okay, but back on the subject of this. Okay, so now when it comes to somebody joining staff, I'd actually seen people turned away because they were actively gay. And the reason for that is that under advisement when recruiting somebody, the chart of human evaluation was used to find out if that person's really actually somebody you wanted to have on staff. And that chart was was learned by recruiters in order to be able to find somebody's chronic tone level and, again, see if this is somebody that they want to bring on staff in the group. The problem is that it was done very glibly. And they did not, a lot of the recruiters that I dealt with, or people that I dealt with that did recruitment, would find like a thing wrong with that person and kind of say, well, that they're just low tone, so they're not going to make a good staff member. And that was wrong for them to do because, again, you're not looking at somebody's chronic tone level. You're not looking at where they're coming from chronically, and how they involve themselves with other people, how well they do with groups, how well they do with children, how well they do with their ability to relay communication and that sort of thing. So this whole idea of people who are gay shouldn't be involved on staff is wrong, based basically on that one point of, we're just taking one finite point about that person's personality, because there's a lot more to a person than their sexual preferences, I guess you could say. And there's also the point too of auditing the gay out of the person as well, which I always was very uncomfortable with, because that's where that's who they are. And the whole point of auditing was to bring somebody up the tone scale. Not to specifically take care of one particular point that we felt as a group was wrong with them. So to say something like to audit the gay out of somebody is wrong. And it's a wrong approach and wrong use. If you look at the full philosophy of Scientology, which really was to make the able more able. I mean, that really is what the philosophy of Scientology was said to me and what I understood it to be. So to say something crazy like, we're going to audit the gay out of them is just... No, you're just going to make them a better human being. Just kind of one ironic tidbit about Church Scientology Buffalo and the ideal org that was made. Buffalo was originally in the directly in downtown Buffalo. We had moved to a neighborhood called Allentown. Anyone who knows anything about Buffalo knows that Allentown is the gay neighborhood, has been since the 60s of Buffalo. And we were literally right in the neighborhood. In fact, actually, the building right next to us, physically connected to us, was an African-American gay center. And what they did is they actually brought in the African-American community and did a lot of testing, or not testing, I'm sorry. They did HIV testing as a free clinical community thing. And it was kind of interesting because, it put the church in kind of an interesting situation because of the philosophical views of using Scientology to audit the gay out of somebody, and then now the church is actually actively in a gay community. So the PR point from where the church came from was a little bit strained, because this point about auditing the gay out of people, or that Scientology viewed homosexuality as a mental disability, I'm just going to call it, was something that was known about. I mean, it's something that had been brought up before in the past as well. And we were kind of always taught to just say, well, of course, Scientology, obviously backs up the gay community. Of course we do. Of course we do. The fact of the matter, they didn't. And there were, it was brought up about how, how are we going to, how do we handle this particular situation? I do remember very specifically bringing up to my staff when I was the executive director that we are in a gay community, and we're not going to look at it as being in a gay community, is that we're in this community, and we are a part of this community, and we're going to treat everyone with the same respect that we expect to be treated as well, and as fairly as we expect to be treated. And I do not ever, ever, ever want to hear anyone ever say that being gay, there's something wrong with you, because there's not. Okay, I hope that helps. It's kind of a tough subject to talk about because there's a lot of there's a lot of charge in society about this particular thing, and I hope that I've given some clarity as to why maybe this thought process not only needs to change, but why it's there to begin with. So, thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.